This is Joy Coleman, Chair of the Lawrence Historic Commission, and it's just after 6 on the third Thursday of the month. So I call to order the September 21st HRC meeting. Avery, you want to give preliminary meeting information?
Yes, thank you. Good evening and welcome to the September 21st Historic Resources Commission meeting. My name is Avery Kerner and with me is Lynn Braddock-Zollner, the Historic Resources Administrator. Together, we will work alongside the chair to facilitate the meeting proceedings tonight. Before we begin, I have just a few reminders to share with everyone. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. For those who are attending the meeting virtually, please remember to mute yourself when you are not actively speaking to help minimize distractions. When the chair calls for public comment on an item, anyone attending in person is at the podium to speak. If you are attending the meeting virtually and would like to provide public comment on an item, please use the raise your hand feature to be called upon. We also ask that everyone state their name before they speak to ensure that everyone is able to follow along. Now I'll turn the meeting back over to the chair.
Thank you, Avery. We'll take a roll call of the commission. Commissioner Haynes?
Commissioner Haynes, present.
Commissioner Johnston?
Commissioner Johnson present.
Commissioner Ezell? I believe he's absent. Commissioner Klein?
Commissioner Klein, present.
Commissioner Hawley? I believe he's absent as well. Commissioner Meyer?
Present.
And Commissioner Coleman, Chair Coleman is present. So, communications. Have we received communications from other commissions, state historic preservation officer, or general public?
You did receive 2 communications there for items number 2 and number 3 on your agenda and were included in the packet update that was posted yesterday.
Thank you. And commissioners, do you have any ex parte communications to disclose? No, hearing none. Any declarations of abstentions for specific agenda items? No, I hear none. Do we have any committee reports?
We have no committee reports this evening.
Excellent. We'll move on to item B, consent agenda. The meeting minutes from the August 17th meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Yes, Commissioner Klein moves approval.
In a second?
Commissioner Johnson second.
All right, we'll take a vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Commissioner Meyer, aye.
Commissioner Haynes?
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
And Chair Coleman is an aye. We have 5 ayes and 2 commissioners absent. So we'll move on to administrative approvals. We have a list of administrative approvals. We can do a consent agenda vote on that. Do I hear a motion?
Commissioner Klein moves approval of the administrative design review applications.
Commissioner Meyer, seconds. Oh, sorry, you weren't finished, Commissioner. Okay.
No, I'm just looking for language if I needed to add more words.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, we're good.
Great, thank you. I hear a motion by Commissioner Klein and a second by Commissioner Meyer. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Commissioner Klein, yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Commissioner Meyer, aye.
And Chair Coleman is an aye. And Commissioner Hawley just walked in.
Apologies.
A consent agenda?
Aye.
Commissioner Polly, aye.
I read it.
So motion passes, 6 ayes and 1 absent. At this time, we'll hear public comment on any items that are not on the agenda, if anyone should have those. Nope. Okay. Nothing online?
It doesn't look like there's any general public comment online.
Okay, we'll move on to item D, public hearing items. Item number DR 22-00014.
So this is the new construction for the 1000 block of New Hampshire Street. This was originally at the Historic Resources Commission in February of 2022. At that time, it was sent to the Architectural Review Committee, and they met in March of 2022. And then it came back to the full commission for a vote in April 28th of 2022 and was approved. Since that time, the applicant has had some changes in the overall footprint of the building and some building materials and design elements of the storefront. They were more than staff was comfortable approving administratively. So we're bringing it back to the commission to look at those changes to make sure they are appropriate for the project. This is the property location outlined here in the aqua color. This is the Old English Lutheran Church here, just to the south of it, the courthouse to the southwest, and the Parnham House over here at 1028 Rhode Island Street. On the top of the screen is what was approved by the Historic Resources Commission in April of 2022. And on the bottom is what's proposed now. The main difference in the elevations is the applicant originally had a stone cornice above the storefront windows. Due to cost of the detail, they're asking to replace that with either fiberglass cornice or EIFS cornice. The rendering doesn't show, but they have also changed the ground floor to be, it was all commercial, and now they want to have some work-live space and some strictly residential. So the doors to the storefront will be more than what's shown even on this rendering. Most of each section of the building will have a storefront door, but the storefront glazing will stay the same. This is the east sorry. I was getting ahead of myself. This is the east elevation. The top is what was approved by the Historic Resources Commission, and the bottom is the revised. It's a little bit difficult to tell in these renderings, but the main change is that instead of having the brick and fiber cement board panels, the rear elevation would all be lap siding. The elevation shown in the drawing would have different colors of lap siding to try to break up that mass. It would also have a cornice, and the applicant is proposing an EIFS cornice for this elevation. This is showing the north elevation. There's not much change here. I'll let the architect speak to any changes that they may have. Again, just main change to the cornice. And then this is that south elevation again with the changes to the cornice. So the architect is on the Zoom call, and I would let him explain to you further what the changes are and why they're making the changes. Staff did review the changes and finds them acceptable except for the fiberglass cornice. Fiberglass would be okay, but EIFS would not be recommended due to the visual qualities and durability of the product. So with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Lynn. I'd like to hear from the applicant's representative, the architect, if possible.
Yeah, hi, this is Jason Dalton, the architect. I think Glenn did a really good job of explaining the changes, and just in general, they're coming about because of cost. So we're trying to control costs on the building, and the stone cornice was one of the big items that was kind of an easy target for the general contractor to reduce some cost. As well as that entire east facade changing to lap siding. We're able to find a pretty significant savings there as well. And then, as Glenn mentioned, on the north and the south, there really aren't any changes there except for the cornice piece. So that's really all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Klein. Just for the sake of jarring my memory, could you remind us how many apartments there are for which, like, I can't remember how many were 1 room, 2 room, and 3 bedroom for families? And how many are affordable housing?
They're all affordable housing, and I do not have the bedroom count.
This is Jason. I can answer that. We're looking at 57 dwelling units total. The first floor is 8 live works. There are 7 studios, 36 one-bedroom units, and 6 two-bedroom units.
Thank you.
And Jason, I'm correct in that they're all affordable, is that correct?
The live work, I do not believe that is affordable.
Okay, thank you.
So the second through the 4th floor.
Lynn,
Yes.
question is, I'll just, first a comment. I think overall the updates seem very compatible and in line with what the ARC previously talked about. But my biggest concern actually isn't the materials, although I'm with you, EIFS doesn't seem appropriate, but if they did fiberglass, aesthetically it all seems in keeping with the guidelines and the review. But is live work a defined term in city code currently?
It's work, live, and it is defined in the city code.
Okay.
So, Jason, I have a question. The drawings say eaves, cornice, or architectural fiberglass. Is there one or the other you're leaning towards, or are they both within cost and you're looking for feedback?
Yes, so the east is less expensive, so that would be more cost savings for the client. It's my understanding that that would not be favorable from the HRC on the west, north, and south, potentially on the east side, the alley side. And so I think we'd probably be pretty happy with just going architectural fiberglass on the north, south, and east, or sorry, north, west, and south.
Well, this is Commissioner Johnson, so what's on the east?
The original was a stone cornice all the way around.
Yeah.
So the new proposal is to switch, when we go to the lap siding, switch to an EFIS where there is lap siding. Will I be able to share my screen, or can you guys pull up the PDFs that were part of that agenda?
You should be able to share your screen if that works.
Okay. That show up?
Yes.
So on the east elevation, we would be looking at, let's see if we can go line here, splitting. We would have to work out some details. I don't have exactly how we would do this, but from this green line over, and then if we went all the way over to that opposite end, kind of same situation, we would do that right through here. And then, so on the south elevation, the north elevation, those would be the architectural fiberglass, and then that west along New Hampshire Street would be that architectural fiberglass. Which they're able to texture that, so it will essentially have a stone look. It's just a lighter material, doesn't require as much structure, and it's just a little less expensive in itself, material-wise.
Well, I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Johnson. I couldn't really understand what you're saying because the sound quality isn't real good.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about the east elevation. Is the cornice fiberglass or is that eaves? Or does my question make any sense?
Well, he's still sharing his screen.
Sorry, my phone disconnected.
Yeah. So my experience with architectural fiberglass is you can get, you can design it or procure it so it looks a lot like cast stone, which looks very much like stone. And initially, I think the EIFS or the EIFS system would also look like stone, but then it takes on a lot of weathering in a different way than stone does. So very quickly, well, it's not as durable, so it looks dirtier and different very quickly. But I think all in all, the project looks like a great infill of a open parking lot with some needed housing downtown. I'm supportive of the project, and I think that detail is the only one we're really focused on right now. Does anyone have any other thoughts about this? I wasn't on the commission when it went through the first time, so love to hear some thoughts about that.
It was when, at the time, it was myself and Stan Hernley, and, we worked with the client to adjust the mass in relationship to the church in a way that was just fit in with the block in a stepped manner, and the overall massing, I think, is pretty true to what was discussed. It's just some material tweaks that I think seem compatible.
I'm trying to remember how many feet exists between the church and the south side of the building. Is that called a courtyard, or is the courtyard referenced in the back? I couldn't remember.
There's an open lawn or, there is a page on here.
Yeah, I was looking for it.
26.
36?
26.
26, okay, thank you.
That gives a dimension. Yeah, I think that's a nice respectful distance, 55 feet from the church. And then 31 feet from the property of the building to the south.
Chair Coleman, that is, the 55 feet is what was proposed earlier. There's a larger green space to the south now, or courtyard space. The size, the footprint of the building did change slightly to get smaller.
So the courtyard, or the open space is larger?
That's correct.
Oh, I see it, yeah. Okay. Any additional question or discussion? Or,
Well, and this is Commissioner Johnson. I'm just trying to figure out, it sounds like that staff is looking for that the cornice be fiberglass and not the eaves system, if I'm saying that correctly. Would we need to make a motion to include that in the motion? And is it important to get the fiberglass on the east side as well? It seems like if eaves doesn't wear well, you wouldn't want one side of the building to wear worse than the rest. So that's has me a little concerned that what's being shown is that it's the eaves that's on the east
oh,
side.
yeah, and I think I might have confused the situation.
Okay.
The comparison from the stone and the brick masonry on the west side to the cornice, I think is of concern on the west side, but on the east side, we're talking about lap siding and materials that weather in a different way than masonry.
Okay.
So I don't know that it's as big of a concern there.
Ah, okay.
But we should probably take public comment, if there is any, before anyone makes a motion. And we're not seeing any.
Doesn't look like there's any comment via Zoom.
Okay, so would anyone like to make a motion, or is there additional items to discuss?
I would move to approve the design changes, materials, and submitted drawings for DR22-00014, including the provision of being fiberglass, not eaves. And
This is Commissioner Meyer. I'll second that. Sorry, were you finished?
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hawley and a second by Commissioner Meyer. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Commissioner Johnson, aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Commissioner Meyer, aye.
Chair Coleman is an aye. We have 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Chair Coleman, could you clarify in the motion, did that include fiberglass cornice on the east elevation as well, or ephes on the east elevation?
It included architectural fiberglass on the west elevation.
And north and south, but not east.
Oh, yes, thank you.
East is okay to be eaves.
Because it faces, is it
It-
Rhode Island?
Well, and there's a different,
Parking lot.
it's a different facade material on the east side.
Was that your motion, Commissioner Hawley?
Was that your motion or no?
That was my motion.
Okay.
But I would say there's, just as a comment, there's nothing wrong with fiberglass on that side of it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would be fine with that as well, but it sounded like the applicant would like to do eaves on the other east side. So it's just making sure of what's allowed.
Okay, we'll move on to public hearing item number 2, DR 23-00273.
So this is DR 23-00273. It's for 521 Tennessee Street. It's a solar installation. It is a state law review and a certificate of appropriateness review. The property is a contributing structure to the Pinckney 1 Historic District, which is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. And it is also located in the environs of the Griffith House, located at 511 Ohio Street. This is showing the property location here outlined in the light blue teal color. The red color that you see is the National Register Historic District, and then the blue is the locally listed property. This is the main elevation of the subject property. This is showing the proposed layout of the solar panels. Most of them are on the rear, but there are some on that south elevation that's the primary roof of the structure. This was what could be approved administratively, and the applicant wanted to get all 6 of those solar panels on that elevation because really financially and there's not enough payback to remove those from the program. So having those 4 panels was really important to the project. This again is that primary elevation, and the solar panels would be on the roof here. You'll notice there's a lot of tree cover, mature trees in the area. This is from the public right-of-way looking at that south roof line. A little bit further down the street from the public right-of-way, and you can see that it wouldn't be visible due to the mature trees. And then that's further down the street. So when staff is reviewing solar installation for properties listed in the National Register of Historic Places, the National Park Service, Secretary of the Interior has standards and guidelines for sustainability. The guidelines for solar include that the solar installation should be on the least visible facade or on a separate structure. The staff has to review these in a very strict term using those standards, but it's the Historic Resources Commission that gets to look and see if this truly damages or encroaches upon or destroys the listed property. So staff is recommending that you deny the project and make the determination that it will destroy historic property included in the National Register of Historic Places, and in accordance with Chapter 22, deny the certificate of appropriateness. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
I have one clarifying question. On the plan, which way is north? I couldn't orient myself.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm ready to do the next one. This is north, this is south, this is Tennessee Street. So these are the panels that would be visible if the trees weren't there.
I see. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Lynn before we move to the applicant? No? Is the applicant present? Would you like to speak? You don't have to, but.
My name is Brad King with Cromwell Solar. We are the installer. We have been in Lawrence a long time. We really appreciate sustaining Lawrence as well as sustaining the quality of the homes here. On the design here, these were the only 3 roof faces that would be usable because south facing as well as not street facing directly. We felt that this would comply with the rules because of all the mature trees around. If you're driving on the street, you cannot even see their roof. So we hope that it shows that it's respectful of everybody around them. Their neighbor also has a big tree that blocks it. Luckily, it's a tall house, so they still get plenty of sun to make the solar viable. But it really doesn't show up if you are walking, except for like maybe one spot halfway down the street. You could see something's up on the roof maybe. They are all black panels though, so they will not stick out. We work with a lot of roofers to design how we're gonna put the panels in so as not to destroy the property, so as to make sure that we're not having to redo anything up on the roof that's unnecessary. It'd stay within the roof line, so that way it wouldn't be sticking out and showing up, and, hanging over the side or anything.
Could you tell us how they're attached to the roof?
Yeah, so basically we no longer use the metal flashing pad that used to go up underneath the shingles. It is now a circular foot that we basically use to drill in and caulk around into the rafters there. So there's no removal of shingles anymore. It's just sitting on top there. So the racking system is very sleek and less penetrative than they used to be. There used to be more kind of destruction of roofs, 5 years previously with solar.
This is Chair Meyer, and just for clarification, are these low profile?
Yes. Yeah, these are all black, about 2-inch thick Panasonic panels. They are name brand. We don't use anything besides top tier panels there. They will not, it'd be hard to find them up there, honestly. The conduit line for them would also be running through the back of the house, down the side of the building, where you can see the main distribution panel in the picture. So there will be no visible conduit from anywhere except their backyard. There. They also have 2 large oak trees in the backyard that block the view from any places on Ohio Street behind. And so they would not be visible from even the alleyway behind the house.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Cromwell?
I'm just curious, with the trees being there, so how effective can the solar be? I know obviously the sun moves, but I'm just curious how effective it can be. I always think of solar needing to be 100% in the sun all day long.
Right, yeah, that's a great question. The nice thing is that this house is tall. So most of the trees are pretty much right about the house line there. So in the wintertime, when the leaves aren't there and the sun angle is low, it'll still be getting plenty of sun there.
Oh, right.
And in the summer, the sun will be so high up that it will not affect them, thanks to the angles there. Luckily, the ones in the back of the house too are far enough back that it won't affect the usage of the panels until after 5 p.m. So they'll get plenty of peak sun throughout the day.
So you're saying then that the panels will be visible in the winter when there's no leaves on the trees?
It's possible, because they're big, thick trees, so there are big, strong branches.
And they
there.
grow.
Yeah. So it is definitely possible in the winter.
Okay.
Well, and I have a question. This is Commissioner Johnson. So how does the color of the solar panels compare to the color of the roof?
The roof color is a very dark brown, so it will pretty much blend in. They're not light-colored shingles.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Other public comment?
Hi, I'm Chris Berger. My wife and I have this particular house. And originally, the concept of putting solar on was marginal for the location and the way all the roofs all fit together. So the loss of those 4 panels really made it really more of It would be more of a social statement than a useful statement. So it really puts the project, we probably would cancel the project without the panels. The house itself is part of the environment as far as the neighborhood goes, but within the environment of that specific registered house, it's only our garage. Our garage gets better sun than our house does, but we chose not to put any panels on it because it was within that specific, diameter of environs. So our original template was limited to the house. To answer your question a little better, Commissioner, the trees that block the view are in the right-of-way. So 2 tremendous trees that really do block any visible portion of our house, unless you're coming way down the street. And when you come way down the street, what you see is neighbors' houses that have the sunlights on them. So, that is already here. I want to point out also, these are removable, they're low profile, they're not on any part of the house, which is a dominant feature architecturally or for the neighborhood is concerned. It's already on a asphalt roof, which, itself is not historical, but it's an accommodation that's been made because technology kind of requires that nowadays. And just recently, it's been brought to the attention of the city, and they know, the feds have come out with a new policy statement where they're talking not just about what you do with historic preservation, but how that now intermingles with environmental responsibility. And they've published that on August 3rd. It's by jurisdiction limited to their 106 reviews, but by their own language, they specifically say that it speaks broadly to non-federal parties, specifically to preservation planners, local governments, and the public. And they push forward policy principles that are to be considered as we're in this new interplay of preservation and environmental concern. The biggest ones are, and it's all public record, developing clean energy projects, specifically the smaller scale distributed generation projects such as rooftop solar panels that generate electricity at or near where it will be used, that the public serving institutions, which is a way of saying local government, should contribute to decarbonization by reusing historic buildings and the spaces for environmental purposes such as these, that local government should incorporate latest technological innovations and should increase flexibility in retrofitting buildings to be more resilient while preserving their historic character as much as possible, that public serving institutions should start talking more openly about the issues and should have all their actions rooted in flexibility and creativity. And I think that is that's the Federal Register, Volume 88, number 148, from August 3rd. And in fact, it came to the attention of local groups as well. And I think you have a letter in your packet from Mr. Watkins, where he expresses also the distinction or the overlap between historical preservation and environmental needs, and that with all the other things that the city has done with environmental directives, that needs to be part of this process too. The feds would now say, yes, that's right. What we've done with our particular house is we have limited where things go. We've limited the impact. Our house is, contributing. It's not very great in that regard, honestly, but it is just kind of what it is, and so there's nothing magical about it. But we have the normal kind of variances that exist as technology and needs have developed with asphalt roofs. We even have double pane glass. Imagine that, right? That's not really legitimate either, is it? But we don't have any EFIS, so I'm very, very proud about that. Much appreciated. We would ask that you would approve it and allow for this project to go forward. If there are any questions.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment? Additional?
And do we need separate motions for the certificate of appropriateness and the state law review?
Yes.
Well, I would take a stab at a motion if
Well,
there's some discussion.
Commissioner Meyer would like to.
Okay.
yeah, this is Commissioner Meyer. I personally am in favor of approving this project for both votes. I think this is one of these situations where the review of this is too restrictive. I don't think it makes a lot of logical sense considering this property and where it's at. Looking at the staff report, I might want to add, we did receive a couple letters about this also. But I mean, if we're really talking about sustainability and utilizing that and making it economically feasible for people, I think Mr. Berger's comment about is this a social statement or do we want to actually use sustainability in a practical way, then I think we would approve it. I mean, these are low-profile panels to the extent that, solar, I mean, when we're talking about, the roof and everything else, I don't know what else you can do with solar panels to make them less intrusive or what have you. So I think this is a situation where we need to, really make a comment about sustainability. I don't think that in this particular case that some of the considerations and the standards override that need. So that's where I'm at with it, because I wanted to make it clear before we made a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. I also am in favor of this project. I think that it aligns very well with some of the other broader city goals of creating a sustainable community and using alternate energy sources. I believe that the installation will be reversible in that it can be removed from the structure in a way that doesn't damage or destroy that structure. And when in place, I don't see that it damages or destroys the historic district because it is in the same character of color of the roof, and the slope is mimicking the roof slope. So I don't see that it changes the character of that property, which is a contributing structure to the district. So I'm in agreement with Commissioner Meyer.
I'd also I know there's a motion about to be made, but I'm in favor of this project, but would like to just take him for all of the reasons. I won't duplicate what you and Commissioner Meyer just said, but would like to commend staff. I know staff's charge is a very limited purview of the reading. The perks and drawbacks of this commission is we're allowed to take a step back and weigh in some of those other items. So just wanted to make that compliment to staff on a great report.
Yes, thank you.
Ditto. And I just want to add that, I think our state, federal, local, we all need to catch up with the technology and do it fast.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being on the forward side.
I think we're ready.
Okay. I would like to move for approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness in accordance with Chapter 22 of the Code of the City of Lawrence, the Standards of Evaluation, find that the proposed project would not significantly encroach on, damage, or destroy the landmark or its environs, and approve the Certificate of Appropriateness for the proposed project because of the tree cover, the slimline nature of the solar panels, the slope of the panels being the same as the roof color being similar to the color of the panels, and the ability to remove the panels without damaging the historic properties. and in keeping with the city's commitment to sustainability and balancing economy, ecology, and equity.
Thank
I
you.
second. Commissioner Klein?
So a motion by second by Commissioner Klein. We'll take a roll call vote if there's no discussion. Commissioner Hawley?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, aye.
Commissioner Haynes?
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Commissioner Meyer, aye.
And Chair Coleman is an aye. So motion carries. 6 ayes and 1 absent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your project. Oh,
Oh, yeah, and we need to do
state
this.
law review. Can I hear a motion? We need to separate the two motions because we have certificate of.
Yeah.
I would move that in accordance with the Secretary of the Interior standards, the standards of evaluation, approve the project, make the determination that the project will not damage or destroy the historic property included in the National Register of Historic Places or the State Register of Historic Places.
Commissioner Klein seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer and Commissioner Klein. Johnson,
Commissioner Johnson, aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Commissioner Meyer, aye.
and Chair Coleman is an aye. Motion carries 6 ayes, 1 absent. Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Next item, number 3, is DR 2300274.
This is also an installation of solar panels, but it is just a certificate of appropriateness. The property is 1644 New Hampshire Street, and it's located in the environs of the Edward House located at 1646 Massachusetts Street. This shows the property location here outlined in the blue, and the darker blue here on the left-hand side of the screen is the house. And the dappled area with this line is the 250-foot environs boundary. This is a drawing showing the proposal for the solar panels. You'll see the panels here on the roof design. This is also a unique project in that the applicant looked at possibilities for solar, and there really aren't any other possibilities for this property. To have solar panels and have solar energy. Just quickly looking, this is the front of the house. And this is looking at that corner of New Hampshire and 17th Street, and this would be, that's the chimney you saw in the drawing, and the solar panels would be here. Looking a little closer from the public right-of-way, the solar panels would be here and here. And then looking back toward the northwest. Again, staff has to look at this in the most strict manner and found that the project did not meet the guidelines for certificate of appropriateness, but the commission has the ability to look at all of the extenuating factors and make a determination whether or not the project encroaches on, damages, or destroys the listed property. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any question you might have.
Thank you. Was the submittal, did it contain just the one drawing?
Yes. And I believe the applicant's here to answer questions about the actual modules.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Lynn? No? Is applicant present?
All right, I'm Matt Luck. I'm with Kansas Solar Systems. We're the designer and installer of the proposed solar system. Similar to the last applicant, we are up against basically there's one spot at this house where we can put solar realistically and make it, have a decent return. So it's happens to be a very tall house. It's a 3-story house. The attic is finished. It's got a very tall roof line. It does have also some significant trees, as you saw, not totally visible from everywhere on the block. I think it's, there is some obstruction to that view. I think it's significant to point out, first of all, we really support the purpose of this. Is we agree that historical environs are important. I lived in that on 16th and Rhode Island for over 10 years, and I appreciate the history of that area. I mean, it's a beautiful place. The homes are what gives it character. And so when we design something, we try to do that in a way that will not take away from that. Similar to the last applicant, these panels are flush mounted. They're all solid black panels, low profile. And again, it's really the only place that realistically we can put that. I think to go along with what was said earlier, I know there's a big push from the federal government and from a lot of citizens to get to all renewable energy, and I know the city as well. It's ordinance 9744, trying to get to 100% renewable energy for the city, I think by 2030, and by by 2035, I believe, for all residential and, everybody within the city. And I think trying to find some commonality between historical preservation and also looking to the future and seeing how we can couple these two things and make a win-win situation is the way we hope we go forward with it. And I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant's representative?
I guess, since we're comparing, in a sense, that you happen to have two proposals similar, is there a color factor in terms of the color of the panels in relation to the roof color?
So it's a gray roof, I would say. Yeah, so it's also similar in tone, darker tones. Yeah, I mean, there are spots you could see them from, obviously, but, if you look, but I think it's the kind of thing that you might notice the first time you walk down the street, and then it's not obtrusive, it's not kind of in your face.
Right,
yeah. So I believe it's something that you probably won't notice after you've seen it once or twice.
I'm starting to just imagine, solar panels and all the different colors like your gutters,
Sure, yeah.
Which is ridiculous, I know. I'm just, whatever, yes, got it.
Any other questions?
I like that idea.
Yes, well, yes, please, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah Goodwin Thiel, and I live at 1644 New Hampshire. So I just wanted to thank you for hearing us tonight. And I first want to say that I very much appreciate the work that the HRC undertakes to recognize, protect, and maintain the historic beauty of our city. On that note, I will say that my husband David and I chose to move to Lawrence and buy a house here because of its beautiful historic neighborhoods and the rich culture. We have lived at 1644 New Hampshire Street for 31 years and have worked hard to maintain the historic character of our home. Ours is on the corner, is the traditional white clapboard house, and was built in 1910. It's surrounded by an original brick sidewalk, which David has relayed and maintained using the original Lawrence, Kansas bricks to keep the sidewalk smooth and safely walkable. In addition to our longstanding commitment to our historic neighborhood, we're equally committed to using clean energy and supporting our Lawrence leaders in their goal to reach the 100% renewable energy in just 12 years, or 2035. We've made this commitment for our planet, our city, our newborn grandson. I've got pictures, and children and people everywhere, really. We hope very much to age in place at 1644 New Hampshire, and solar panels are an important part of our plan to reduce costs and lower our carbon footprint. Our house has only one section of roof where solar panels can be effectively installed. This section is on the south side of the house and has no trees or barriers of any kind to block the sunlight. The rest of the house is in shade for a good part of each day. I sincerely hope you will reconsider your decision to deny our application to install solar panels. I hope you will be convinced that rather than encroaching on, damaging, or destroying our lovely home and neighborhood, we are determined to sustain their integrity by working in tandem with you and the City of Lawrence. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for me? Is there any other public comment? Any questions or further discussion? I'm in support of this project as well. For the same reasons as the previous.
Yeah. Would you like me to make a motion? I move that in accordance with, I guess not in accordance with Chapter 22, the standards of evaluation find that the proposed project would not significantly encroach on, damage, or destroy the landmark or its environs, and I would move approval of the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed project.
Seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein and Commissioner Hawley. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hawley?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson, aye.
Commissioner Haynes?
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer? And Chair Coleman is an aye. So that is 6 ayes and 1 absent. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. So now we're moving on to E, miscellaneous items, and Lynn, I hope you tell us what to do with these, because I'm not sure what to do with this.
Chapter 22 allows the Historic Resources Commission to comment on variances, special use permits, and rezonings for the review of their impact on listed properties or properties within the environs. You do not have to take a vote or make any comment, but we bring them to you in case you would like to make a comment that would be forwarded to the Planning Commission and City Commission. And the first one is for a variance for 1500 Leonard Avenue. And this one, I don't know if you want to comment or not. It may be something you do want to comment on, because the variance is to allow for an existing accessory carriage house to be used as an accessory dwelling unit. There's a limitation in the code for the size of an accessory dwelling unit, and the existing carriage house exceeds that square footage requirement. So really the variance is to allow an existing carriage house to be used as an accessory dwelling unit. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on that one you might have.
So I'm still trying to, I've read it, but I'm trying to remember quickly. So is the accessory dwelling livable?
That's part of the plan, is to, the applicant is currently in the process of listing the primary structure in the National Register of Historic Places.
Into rehab, yeah.
And the accessory structure would be a contributing structure to that National Register nomination. And as part of all this, they're going to use the state historic rehabilitation tax credits and do rehabilitation on the accessory structure to make it habitable.
Right, okay, got it.
That's excellent.
Yeah, use it.
Yes.
Well, and this is Commissioner Johnson. It's on such a large lot, if I'm understanding this correctly, that makes it unusual as well.
Do we have photos here? I can't remember.
I do not think there are any photos.
Yeah, I didn't, okay,
Like a Google map.
right, okay.
Yeah, the lot's huge.
The lot is very
It
large.
is, yeah,
so
no,
it-
it's really
It makes
something.
perfect sense to
And we wouldn't
do
want to
this.
force
this way.
a lot division or.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think keep it together if we can, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think I've made a comment, but I'll just reiterate that I think it sounds like a fine idea, and to keep the lot as large as possible, as long as possible, with as much green space, and to, make the secondary structure as livable as the primary structure and get it on the state register.
Agreed.
Lynn, do we need to make a formal motion?
That would be
Wholeheartedly
good to
agree.
make a formal motion, and then we can forward that on to the Planning Commission and the City Commission.
Awesome.
Can I move that what I said? Or do I have to repeat it all?
I think the motion would be to recommend support for the variance application for 1500 Leonard Avenue for the size of the accessory dwelling unit.
Okay. So I would move approval.
Seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein and Commissioner Hawley. We'll take a roll call vote on this item. Commissioner Hawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Commissioner Johnson, aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Commissioner Haynes, aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Commissioner Klein, aye.
Commissioner Meyer. She said aye. I could read her lips. Chair Coleman is an aye. Motion passes 6-2 with one absence. 6 ayes, 1 absence. Wonderful. Oh,
The second item you have under miscellaneous items is a rezoning at 211 East 15th Street. This is rezoning of a large vacant parcel of land that's just to the south and east of Oak Hill Cemetery, so it falls, a corner of the property falls within that 250-foot environs of Oak Hill Cemetery. And let's see, it is, the rezoning request is from RS10, which is a residential single dwelling district, to the proposed zoning is RM32, which is a multifamily zoning district. The project's going to have several structures on it. Some of them will be for workforce housing, affordable housing, and the rezoning request is to allow for this project to move forward. This one is very minor. Like I said, it just catches the corner of those Oak Hill Cemetery environs. The environs definition for Oak Hill talks about this area maintaining residential character, and so this rezoning would still allow for that area to maintain its residential character.
And this is Commissioner Johnson. There's the question, how does the request conform with the comprehensive plan? And it says see attached, and I didn't see anything. Does it conform with the comprehensive plan?
It does conform with
Okay.
the comprehensive plan. Oh, and that didn't get attached. I apologize for
Okay.
that.
I also had a hard time finding the address because when I mapped it, it gave me Central Junior High track, which I know is not correct.
Right, it's on the edge. It's smack on the edge of agricultural, as I recall, and right up against
The cemetery.
one of the business parks, I forget which. Yeah. I've already heard about this project from various folks around, just, about it. I haven't spoken with anyone personally about it, but I've just heard about it. And this could be the second largest zoning change in the history of Lawrence. And from what I've read, it's a colossal multiplex apartment complex, okay, that would overtake the Brook Creek neighborhood near it, as well as the agricultural countryside that's already there. It's putting this a monster apartment complex on the edge of our on the east edge of our agricultural area right now. Okay, so I personally would. I don't know if we can do this as a group or not, but I would strongly deny the rezoning of this piece of property for the proposed purposes.
Because you're worried about the impact on the environs of the historic, or not?
Well,
designated,
yeah, of
but-
course, Oak Hill, absolutely. Oak Hill goes without saying, but I'm also concerned about they talk about a workforce multifamily development. It's, the language is not entirely accurate. And I think we have not been given enough language to have a fair understanding of it. I think I don't think this language is entirely accurate, and I would not trust it.
Okay. But moving forward, if there is a proposed development that does fall within the environs of the Oak Hill Cemetery or any other listed property, we would see that development plan and isn't that correct?
Well, but this is the first step, is to rezone.
Yes.
And so the first step is they want to rezone this, and I forget how many acres we're talking about here. What is the?
17 or something?
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was.
No, it's just it's
17.7.
17 acres, yeah, 17.7 acres.
Yeah, but it's pretty sizable. And again, in terms of where it's located.
So it's like North 1500 Road before the.
Yeah, it's like on
railroad track?
the far east side of 15th before you get to whatever the business park is.
And across from the.
And across from Oak Hill, down
And
from
it's-
Oak Hill, down the
in
street
that-
from Oak Hill.
It's that very just tiny corner of the environs, just a tiny corner of the environs touches the property.
Okay.
But
Well-
rezoning is their first step.
Yes.
Lynn?
And its zone now is ag or?
No, it's,
No, it's single family right now, and they want to make it multifamily.
Oh.
I guess, question is a point, question. Is the HRC in a position without a building project to deny? I don't think that's within our.
Informational for.
See, that's what I'm not
Purview.
sure.
No,
it's zoned RS10. It's not agriculture.
Yeah,
We
you
could
wouldn't be
include a
denying the
comment of
project, you would be
concern.
making a comment to the planning commission. And
Yeah, I
you
would-
don't have to make a comment if you
well,
don't.
my comment would be to deny the change in zoning, would be my comment. That's,
Well, and this is Commissioner Johnson, and it's in conformance with our approved comprehensive plan, and thus, without some other valid reason to deny it, we would be violating our comprehensive plan, and thus leaving ourselves open to lawsuits for not following our comprehensive plan.
Well,
To not follow the comprehensive plan, we would need to amend it first and then reject the rezoning.
but see, I think this is where this project is using language in such a way to make you believe they're following the city plan, okay? I just think it deserves far more detail and far more study and comment at this stage of the game. At this stage, they're asking for a change in zoning. And I would argue, in terms of a comment, to the planning commissioners to deny the rezoning. Because like you say, Jay, we're not looking at a building yet. You know, we're not looking at any.
Well, this is Chair Meyer. I'm just going to give my 2 cents, which is it's a rezoning issue. I understand that people think it's, that this is the first step in doing something else, but, you know, we talk a lot about density and having, you know, housing that's affordable and multifamily stuff. And so I think there'll be lots of reviews about the type of project it is, but I personally don't have any objection to the rezoning. And I just might want to add, am I muted?
Nope, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Somehow it came on that I was muted. So my perspective is we're just giving opinions about this. We're not approving it, disapproving it, giving our opinions. And I'm just saying I personally don't have an issue with it. But, you know, I understand that we're all different people.
Yeah, and Commissioner Hawley, my just to put out personal opinions, that concerns me as a citizen, but I don't know enough to have a developed thought one way or the other. So my preferred action would either be no comment because I don't have enough information. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree, Commissioner Hawley. I don't feel like I have enough information to make a comment. How the rezoning affects Oak Hill Cemetery, I'm unclear on because I can't see it on a map, so I don't know. You know, I know a corner is within the environs of Oak Hill Cemetery, but that's all I know. So I don't feel like I can make a comment. I do hope that as a city, we can meet our goals on affordable housing and a higher density of housing that is attractive to our residents who need it. But I don't want to make assumptions.
To be seen. To be
To
seen.
be seen, yes. Yes. Okay. Lynn, do we need to do anything else besides give you those comments?
No, so the comment from the commission would be no comment then?
Well, if we're going to make a motion, I would vote against no comment. Just if we need a vote, I guess is what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? Just so we're giving the planning commission some numbers, I guess. Is that what we need to do?
Since there's disagreement, you could take a vote.
To comment or not to comment?
Well, I guess the purpose of this discussion is to give the planning commission some ideas to think about in terms of the impact to our historic resources. So can we say, well, I don't know what we want to say. I don't think we can say we recommend denial because I don't.
Well,
feel like
that's what
we
I'm
have
saying.
enough.
I think the motion would be to comment or not to comment, and then we'd vote on that and not say what the comment is necessarily.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Johnson. If the rezoning is in keeping with the comprehensive plan, I would not think it would be wise or legal to say that we would deny something. So if others on the commission would want to say something about denial, I would say then that our best bet is a no comment.
Do you have any stance on this, Commissioner Haynes?
I'm rather confused. I'm not sure exactly what we're
Yeah, because
deciding to do.
because
or
all
not.
we're looking
It's not
at is
before us yet.
Yeah, it's not before us. It's not even before the planning commission. All that this says is we're requesting a zoning change, and, we think it meets the plan 2040, which we don't know if it does or not.
Can we say that we encourage the development to, or
Staff
the
provided us where it
rezoning
needs
to comply with the comprehensive plan and all of the things that, go ahead, Chair Meyer, or Commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, Lynn, we don't have to take any action on this item, do we? I mean, we don't have to make a formal comment on it. We can just decide not to send anything there.
That's correct.
Right. So there you go. Done. Done or not done?
Sorry, I was wondering if we were all overthinking it. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway.
No. We don't gots to do nothing.
And I think we probably were overthinking it, just thinking, does no comment mean support?
Or not support.
Can we make just a note to the planning commission that we do not feel like we have enough information to make a comment?
There you go. I could agree with that. Because I am concerned about Oak Hill, about how close it is to Oak Hill. I really am. But the situation is that most people enter Oak Hill from the west, and this is on the east side.
So what information that's not included in the application would you feel necessary?
Well, we need all the specifics about how it fits in with Plan 2040. So far, I'm not seeing those.
It's on the third page, I believe, of the application. The proposed RM32 workforce housing development conforms to the following Lawrence Plan 2040, and then it identifies those sections of 2040 and how it meets.
Right, but what I'm saying is we haven't seen the plans that provide evidence that it does these things.
Well, plans are not included in part of a rezone.
Right, I
They
know,
don't have
yeah,
to.
I know.
All they have to say is to provide information of selecting a zoning district that fits within the comprehensive plan 2040. And if it does that, without amending the comprehensive plan, we do not have a legal leg to stand on to say no. The Planning Commission doesn't, and the City Commission doesn't. And if the City Commission would like to say no, they need to amend the comprehensive plan first, and that is perfectly in their purview.
No
So we're
comment.
back to.
We're back to no comment.
Yes, that's fine.
We just quit talking and adjourn.
Right.
Slink off into the night.
City Commission can watch the Zoom, the YouTube of this.
All right, so we can adjourn. Perfect.
Do you need a second or any voting on adjourning?
I move that we adjourn.
Let's adjourn.
Well, since we're all by ourselves, sort of,